Welcome back. Today we're diving deep into a really key decision for anyone looking at luxury property in Southeast Asia, specifically finding your perfect spot in Phuket.
Absolutely. It's Thailand's biggest island, right? About, what, 48 kilometers long? Stunning place.
Exactly. But whether you're dreaming of a permanent home, maybe a holiday place, or purely an investment, it seems to come down to one big question.
Which side of the island fits you? Are you West Coast or East Coast?
It sounds simple, but it really shapes everything about how you'd live there or how your investment might perform.
Definitely. Phuket's often called a lifestyle playground, which is true, but you've got to choose your playground. Do you want that energetic social hub, or are you after something more like an exclusive, quiet sanctuary?
And to help us unpack this, we're leaning on some really solid on-the-ground insights. This analysis comes straight from Ocean Worldwide.
Ah, yes. The luxury real estate agency. They've been based right there in Phuket since, I think, 2004.
That's the one. And we're drawing on the expertise of their director, Sandra O'Neill. She's apparently helped literally thousands of families and investors navigate this exact choice over the years.
So, yeah, they really know their stuff. They've got that deep local context, which is crucial for understanding the kind of fundamental differences between the two coasts.
Okay, so let's maybe just sketch out the main takeaways first, broadly speaking. West Coast, social hub, lively, lots of amenities, high rental potential.
Right. And the East Coast. Think tranquility, privacy, these huge luxury villas, and very importantly, access to marinas for the yachting crowd.
Got it. So let's jump into the West Coast first. This is probably the side most people imagine when they picture Phuket, isn't it?
I'd say so. The core vibe here is definitely energy. There's always something happening. It's accessible. It's where your island life feels, connected and, well, exciting.
And it's not just about the beautiful beaches like Bang Tao or Surin or Kamala, although they are stunning. It's the whole infrastructure around them.
Exactly. That's the key. You've got everything right there. Chic beach clubs, busy local markets, tons of restaurants, local, international, you name it.
The source material really hammers home this point about convenience, that it makes daily life feel kind of effortless and enjoyable, whether you're there for a holiday or living there full time.
Yeah, effortless is a good word for it.
Yeah.
And that vibe feeds into a really active social scene. The trendy beach bars, sometimes with big-name DJs.
Right, and I read about the weekend brunch culture being quite a big thing there.
Oh, huge. From really relaxed little cafes right through to super upscale restaurants in the resorts, it's definitely a social focal point.
Okay, let's talk money for a second. How does all this energy, this social buzz, translate into rental income for an investor? Who's renting these places?
Well, you're tapping into that consistent, high-volume tourist flow because the West Coast has the famous beaches, the sunset views everyone wants, the easy amenities. People come year-round.
So it's strong for short-term lets, holiday rentals.
Very strong. The typical renter wants that convenience. They want to be near the bars, the restaurants, the beaches. For an investor who isn't using the property all the time themselves, that means potentially quite steady cash flow.
It sounds like there's quite a bit of variety within the West Coast, too, though. It's not all just one big party, right?
No, not at all. There's definitely a spectrum. You could start with somewhere like Bang Tao. Very trendy, very social. You've got the big Laguna complex there with resorts, golf shops, everything.
Hmm.
Then maybe Surin, which feels a bit more exclusive, a bit more sophisticated perhaps. Swankier beach clubs, maybe higher-end boutiques.
Okay, and Kamala, I think that was mentioned, too.
Yeah, Kamala often gets described as having a good balance. Still lively, great beach, but maybe a bit more family-friendly, a bit less intense than Surin or parts of Bang Tao.
And what if you wanted the West Coast convenience? Easy access to things, but maybe not right in the heart of the busiest areas.
Then you'd probably look a bit further north. Nai Yang is lovely. It's right next to the Siranat National Park, so it has a much more relaxed feel, but still convenient.
Okay.
Saku is another area popular because it's so close to the airport. And Nithon has this absolutely stunning beach, though it's developing quite quickly now.
So you really can find different flavors on the West Coast.
Yeah.
From that high-energy social scene to something a bit more chilled out for families.
Precisely. There's a gradient there. You can pick your level of buzz.
Okay, let's completely switch gears now and head over to the East Coast, because the descriptions feel like night and day compared to the West.
They really are. If the West is about connection and energy, the East Coast is, well, it's about quiet contemplation, isn't it? It's presented as an exclusive sanctuary.
The whole vibe shifts, more towards refined living, lower density.
Yeah, you trade that background hum of beach clubs and traffic
Hmm.
for like the actual sounds of nature. It's designed for peace, for real privacy.
And that focus on privacy seems to dictate the type of property you find there. You mentioned sprawling estates, not so many condos.
Exactly. Think big plots, often gated, designed for seclusion. The prime spots are places like Cape Yamu and Arpo.
And what's special about those locations?
The views, they offer these incredible panoramic vistas across Phang Bay. Looking out at those dramatic limestone islands, it's breathtaking. And the properties themselves are designed to maximize that feeling of being away from it all. Lots of landscaping, space between homes.
But there's another huge draw card for the East Coast, something the West doesn't really offer in the same way, the maritime access.
Ah, yes, that's crucial. The East Coast is the absolute hub for anyone serious about yachting or boating. It's home to the big premier marinas, Royal Phuket Marina and Aopo Grand Marina.
Right, so buying property there isn't just about the house itself, it's also about securing that direct gateway to the Andaman Sea. For island hopping, exploring, that's a miss-your factor in the ultra-luxury market.
It really is. It caters to a specific lifestyle passion. But we do need to touch on the beaches themselves on the East Coast.
Okay, what's the difference there?
Well, the views over the water are spectacular, as we said, but the actual beaches, generally speaking, aren't really swimming beaches.
Oh, really? Why is that?
It's because of the natural environment. There are
Yeah.
lots of mangrove systems, reef systems close to shore. It means the water tends to be quite shallow, sometimes a bit muddy near the coastline, not like the sandy, swimmable beaches on the west.
Hmm. That's a really important distinction for buyers to understand. But I gather the lifestyle, the community, the properties themselves kind of make up for that.
Absolutely. The focus shifts inwards towards the quality of the property and the community. You're looking at these exclusive, ultra-low density estates, much more land per villa compared to the West.
So we're talking standalone luxury villas, bespoke designs.
Exactly. The source material mentions examples like custom designed 4 or 5 bedroom villas starting around, let's see, THB 108,896,000. So roughly 3 million US dollars as a starting point.
Wow, okay. So that's a serious price point. When you see a number like THB, 108 million, what does that typically buy you on the East Coast in terms of space or features compared to, say, a luxury place on the West?
Well, that figure generally signals you're entering that top tier of East Coast luxury. It means exceptional space, first and foremost. Large private land plots are standard.
Right.
You're getting significant scope for customization architecture that really blends the indoor and outdoor living areas seamlessly. These places are often built with long-term living in mind, big private pools, maybe staff quarters, really high-end finishes, and again, that low density is key. It preserves the exclusivity.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's drill down into the investment side a bit more clearly now, comparing the two coasts. The property types seem tailored to different goals. West Coast seems all about rental turnover.
That's a good way to put it, and the properties reflect that. You see a lot of condominiums and also what are called branded
And
residences.
branded residences explain that quickly.
Sure. It's basically where you buy an apartment or villa, but it's managed by a well-known hotel brand, like a Hyatt or a Banyan Tree, for example. So you get hotel-style services, amenities, and management, which is really attractive to tourists looking for a hassle-free, high-standard holiday, makes renting it out easier.
Right. And you also mentioned modern apartments aimed at digital nomads on the West Coast. Connectivity must be vital there.
Absolutely critical. Places like Bangtao are focusing heavily on high-speed internet, maybe even co-working spaces within the developments, everything geared towards connectivity. Even the standalone villas there are often marketed with that turnkey holiday lead angle in mind, ready to rent out easily and generate income.
Okay. Whereas the East Coast investment approach sounds more focused on maybe capital preservation and lifestyle.
I think that's fair. The property styles really prioritize space and privacy. So, standalone luxury villas designed for that indoor-outdoor lifestyle in these ultra-low density estates.
Less density meaning more land per home, more seclusion.
Exactly. Which also creates a higher barrier for future development, helping to protect that long-term value and exclusivity. It's a different kind of investment appeal.
So if we put the investment strategies head to head, West Coast is strong for consistent income from short-term rentals, tapping into that high tourist volume. Good if you want the property to kind of pay its way when you're not using it.
Precisely. And the East Coast. That appeals more to buyers looking at long-term capital growth, maybe planning for retirement, or simply wanting to secure a very exclusive, high-end asset in a tranquil setting. The target buyer is often different, perhaps someone planning to live there longer term, or a high net worth individual who values privacy above maybe immediate rental returns.
Right. That leads us perfectly into the final decision point, the
Yeah.
lifestyle choice. Especially for families, the day-to-day logistics must be a huge factor. How do they typically choose?
Well, the sources we looked at suggest that for families, especially those with younger kids or those wanting to integrate easily into the expat community, the West Coast often comes out on top for sheer convenience.
Why is that specifically?
Mostly proximity. Areas like Kamala and Bangtao are mentioned frequently because they offer easier access to the main international schools, community centers, shops with Western goods, things like that. It just simplifies the daily routine.
That makes sense. Having schools and amenities close by is a big deal for families moving overseas.
Sure.
What's a counterbalance on the East Coast for families?
Space, seclusion, a slower pace of life. You might have a bit more of a drive to get to certain schools or supermarkets, yes, but you gain these huge properties, often with massive gardens, private pools, just much more land. So for families who really prioritize that quiet retreat feel, lots of outdoor space for kids, the East Coast low density is very appealing.
So ultimately, it really does come down to matching your personal priorities, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Your ideal daily rhythm, your need for social connection versus your desire for peace and quiet. Matching that with what each coast actually offers.
Yeah, that's the core message from the experts, like Sandra O'Neill at Ocean Worldwide. It's less about which coast is better overall and more about which coast is better for you. Is your ideal day spent at a beach club watching the sunset or enjoying serene views over the from your private terrace?
Okay, so let's synthesize this. West Coast. Action, convenience, strong rental income potential. East Coast. Tranquility, exclusive luxury, space, and probably more focused on long-term value and lifestyle.
A pretty good summary. It's about finding the coast that really feels like the right setting for how you want to live or how you envision your investment performing long term.
Which brings us to a final thought for you, the listener. Maybe don't just think about which coast seems better for a holiday. Ask yourself, which coast truly reflects the pace of life you want long-term? Is your future about being in the mix or about quiet refinement?
A crucial question to ponder.
Definitely. And remember, this expert insight comes directly from the team at Ocean Worldwide. They've been guiding people through this exact decision on the ground in Phuket since 2004. So if you are ready to explore finding your own perfect spot, whether that's a buzzing West Coast condo or a secluded East Coast estate,
They're the people to talk to. You can start exploring the properties they have available right now by visiting oceanwwp.com.
let's spell that out, oceanwwwd.com.
oceanwwp.com.
Definitely worth checking out if you're serious about making that Phuket dream a reality.